because I love you.
Our special guest on MuzoHub tonight is Mr. Chris DeAraugo. Welcome along to MuzoHub. On tonight's episode we have our special guest, Mr. Chris DeAraugo. Welcome along, Chris.
Thanks, John. Thanks for having me.
No worries. Chris, the DeAraugo family is very well known around central Victoria and even around the country. Is there a history of music in your family, or I think I've heard that some of the previous generations were into music too?
Well, my dad was a great singer, a remarkable singer. He made records in the early 60s and could have been quite famous with his voice. He was an incredible tenor. Yeah. So, and I guess throughout his history there must have been singing in the family. He talks about days around the piano and all those classic sing-alongs of that era. Yeah. But Dad was a remarkable voice, and I guess the only one who got close to his voice was my niece Catherine, or Kate, who of course won Australian Idol 6 or 7 years ago. I mean, that was incredible. Kate's got a magnificent voice, beautiful voice. But we all sing. I mean, Paul, my brother's a good singer and plays guitar. My elder sister's got a great voice, Jennifer. She's excellent. I didn't so much get the voice though, but certainly all the music thing. And yeah, we've had some great nights. Music's a pretty important part of the DeAraugo family, I guess.
Excellent. So, Chris, what's your first memories of music? Was it the family, obviously your dad, but when did you first start getting that feeling you'd like to play or sing or something yourself?
Normie Rowe. My sisters, who are older than me, this is, late 60s, and Normie Rowe was big, and they had his records, and next thing you've got the hairbrush yourself as a 7 or 8 year old kid or whatever you were, singing out, and you start to think this would be good. But I think I didn't start to think about guitar because I also worked out I'm not Normie Rowe and I certainly didn't have Dad's voice. So I think it was 12-ish, 13, and I got hold of a guitar, classic story, action this high off, and you couldn't play it. And my brother-in-law, who was to marry my elder sister, the singer, he could play a few chords. And he showed me these chords, which were quite a mystery. And from there on, you just start to get hooked, and I remember that in those early days, so there was no internet. There was no... You walk across town to meet someone who knew a couple of different chords. It was great because you were 13, 14. And then I think by the time I was 14, I spent the summer as a postie earning enough money to buy my first electric guitar, which was a Les Paul copy I got from Blair Dutton, $50. I spent the whole summer delivering telegrams, and that's when I knew I was hooked. Because everyone else was the pool, and I was riding push bikes to buy a guitar.
So spent hours until your fingers bled just about?
Oh, yeah. And I remember an old mate of mine, Ross Ackland, and we spent a summer playing together, and we ran out of Band-Aids. We had sticky tape on our fingers just so we could still fret the chords. Yeah, we're pretty keen.
So what influences, is there any one particular influence? I know Eric Clapton would have to be obviously a big influence of yours, is your style that you play, but... would that be correct, or is there any?
Yeah, no. Clapton's, I guess, been the main man since I was 13 or 14, and I got the Layla album. And a guy at school told me, "You've got to get this record." And so I got it, and I couldn't play it, but I was pretty impressed. But the Beatles, and not so much. George Harrison wasn't a guitar virtuoso, but he was a craftsman, and I think Paul McCartney's the most musical person I've ever heard. And so Clapton, the Beatles, I loved Mark Knopfler when they came out. That really blew me away because he did a lot of finger picking, and so did I. And he did a lot of hammer-ons and pulls, so it was easy to sort of get close to emulating what he was doing.
And he had that Strat sort of sound too, which is where you come from.
Well then it was because of him that I thought I need a Stratocaster. And so that's what I ended up getting in the probably early 80s, I think. And it was a Jap one because you couldn't get a good US one then. But so those guys, and I think of the contemporary artists, the guitarist that really takes me somewhere nowadays is John Mayer, who's seen as a bit of a pop star, but he's a great guitar player.
Excellent. So, what's your memories of what's your first album or something like that you bought and played along to or whatever? What would that have been?
The Let It Be album.
Yeah.
And I remember the first guitar parts I worked out roughly was Get Back.
Yeah.
Had that, ding ding solo. I can still play it now.
Yeah.
And I think, and the other album that I picked up about the same time was Cosmo's Factory by Creedence.
Yeah. Creedence,
I remember learning, I won't play it now, but which I remember hearing the opening licks to Up Around the Bend.
Yeah.
And thinking, God, that's impossible. And then once you start to muck around, I think I can still play it. It's got that going on. That's all it was.
Yeah.
So simple.
Yeah.
And but I remember hearing that and thinking, oh, that's the best thing I've ever heard. And then you realise it's only...
Yeah.
So you learn all that sort of stuff. And so those albums were pretty formative for me to learn. And then I think I got... It's funny, then when Led Zeppelin, those bands, and Deep Purple were really big.
Yeah.
I went backwards. I was discovering the Beatles.
Yeah, okay.
I'd heard their singles like all of us.
Yeah.
But thanks to my brother-in-law again, I got hold of Abbey Road and Revolver and Rubber Soul. So I sort of went backwards in the 70s and listened to all that Beatles music.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Chris, tell us about your songwriting. You've written a lot of songs over the years. How do you go about songwriting, and is it just something that comes to you, or how do you...
Yeah, I remember the first time I ever got a guitar, and I wrote a song.
Yeah.
And I learned a few chords, and I started making up my own songs out of it.
Yeah.
So I've always been dabbling in songs, and and I've written 2 albums worth. I've got one I actually got properly manufactured and all that, and but I think I've always been a songwriter as such, but that song I've played on tonight's show was the most recent song I've written. I wrote that on ukulele.
Okay, yeah.
But so there was something that just inspired me about the ukulele noise and the new chords. But I think I've always have, and in the late 80s and into early 90s, I did a whole lot of jingles.
Yeah.
That was a great coming together of your musical skills, I guess, and my background in marketing. So you bring all those things together, and I had a ball writing, 30-second pop songs basically, and even, God bless him, the Brendan Dressler jingle is still getting played on the air today, 20 years later.
And you actually get paid for some of this stuff too.
Well, in those days you did. It was good. And of course we went over to Joe Douglas's studio and recorded them.
Yeah.
And it was good, and I still like writing songs.
Yeah. Do you actually? How do you go about it? Do you come up with little riff or something first, or do the lyrics and that?
Yeah, I think it's, to me, it's just sit down and you'll come up with a couple of chords, and you might have very rarely do I write a block of words and think, now I'm going to put music to it.
Yeah.
Normally it comes together. You're just sort of playing some chords and think that's nice, and then the words ring to it. Most of my songs are your classic silly love songs.
Yeah.
There's a few that I like I wrote one of my best songs I've ever written is called St Kilda Way, about spending time in St Kilda. So sometimes other things will inspire you.
Yeah.
But, I guess at the end of the day, there are a lot of I love you and you don't love me and life's terrible stuff,
Yeah. So you brought in a couple of guitars tonight, Chris. These your favourite little babies you brought in? Or?
Yes. So I'll sit forward and try and... this one... This is my main squeeze, is how I'd affectionately call this.
What's your wife think of that?
No, she's prepared to share the space with it.
Yeah.
It doesn't sleep in the same room as it, so that cuts it some slack. But this is the Eric Clapton model Fender Stratocaster, which has got a secret weapon I'll show you about in a minute. I don't know whether the cameras can see this. Can we get in on that? That's special because it says to Dan. And it's actually signed by Eric Clapton.
Whoa.
Now, there's a story behind it, but I don't know all of it. But we know that's Eric's signature, but we can't authenticate it, of course.
Okay, yeah.
But for now, just call me Dan, I guess. But this model, this is a 1989 version. And it's, as I said, it's lovely. But what it's got from a Stratocaster point of view, is that going to be too loud if I go... That's a normal sound.
Yep.
It's got this secret weapon down here. It's called a built-in mid-range boost.
Yep.
And it does a lovely thing to a valve amplifier where you can go from to
Beautiful.
So it's great for the solo. It
Yeah.
means with a small valve amp, it means you can actually, you don't need pedals.
Yeah, yeah.
And a lot of the blues jams, I'll just take this guitar and that little 20-watt valve amp,
Yeah.
and you can go from, or I'll play something like to all because that little secret weapon there.
Yeah, it's got a nice boost, hasn't it? It's just got that real bite too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I still think the Stratocasters are by far the most versatile guitar.
Yeah.
And you can't play Dire Straits either without one.
That's
probably.
right.
And nor can you play a lot of the the classic Eric Clapton stuff. The old all that. These guitars
just got their own sound, haven't they?
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah.
And not everyone likes these gold lace sensor pickups, but I do. I find they've got a brightness and a power about them that the traditional Stratocaster pickup doesn't have.
Yeah. No, it sounds fantastic.
And the other one over here, if I can just...
This is a change of religion, is it now, this one?
Yeah, this was a change of religion, but it's a beautiful guitar. And I probably realised, inspired by the great blues players, all the King boys had one of these.
Yeah.
And so did, of course, the great Alvin Lee. And I don't know whether it's picking up on the camera, but it's just, I love the colour, the colour and the gold pickups. And oh, there it is. Look at that. Yeah. And it's the most expensive guitar I've ever had to buy. But, but to play them, they're a completely different beast.
Yeah, so it's a Gibson, obviously, and what model is it?
It's called the ES335.
ES335, yep.
Which I was reading about the other day. It's one of the Gibson's longest ever production runs. First came out in 1958 and effectively unchanged. But they've also got that great bluesy sound, which is so classic for all the B.B. King stuff.
Definitely distinctive, aren't they? I mean, the two are just so different, but both nice.
Yeah, and that's why I think I've gone. It took me a while to sort of fall in love with this one, but it was only recently when I was learning that Alvin Lee song that I really started to learn my way around this guitar. It's been great, and now it's part of the show.
Yeah. So I just noticed Chris did have a bit heavier neck to play. A little bit, is it? Or
it is, plus with the Gibsons, I string them heavier than the Stratocasters. Something to do with the scale length. But if you put light strings on a Gibson, you'd be bending all over the place. So this is harder to play, I guess, than the Stratocaster, which I string with 9s, and this has got 10s on it. And a Les Paul, you can actually put even a higher gauge again for whatever reason with all the scales, and they still sort of feel the same.
Excellent. Oh, thanks for bringing those in. That's fantastic.
Oh, pleasure.
Your babies.
Always good to
and we'll
take them out of the house.
We'll hear one of them in a few minutes anyway. So when we play the song that you did earlier.
Yes.
So with guitars, any tips for young guys out there or girls that are looking at getting into playing guitar? Is it like right from scratch? What would you say is the most important thing?
Well, not only for young guys, I've been quite inspired of late by some older guys. Who one of my good friends in particular, he's just gone and bought himself a couple of really nice guitars, and he's practicing. Like, you get YouTube and these things that you can learn of. But I'm loving how much he's playing guitar, and I've got some other mates who are really getting into it. So I think one of the good things about guitar, there ain't no age for it.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd like to think I'm playing better now than I probably ever have.
Probably more passion as you get older, is it? Or?
Oh, yeah. And my love for it is just probably stronger than it's ever been. Like in this Dirtbuster band, I'm having more fun playing in that than any band I've ever played in. Partly because you've got someone like my son sitting in the band with me, which is pretty cool. But I think for anyone, it's just, and guitar crosses so many boundaries. There's guys can pick it up and they can play some nylon string, nice stuff, or they can play some basic folk songs, get into the blues. and then you can get into the real technical stuff. There's, I think, and I reckon my only advice is everyone just play it.
Play it,
and find the bits you like. Like in a spectrum of guitar, I know I'm okay at that little bit.
Yeah.
But there are other guys who are, like you get the Tommy Manuels who are like this. But we've all, I think it's a great instrument to find a little niche.
Yeah.
And just get a lot of fun out of it.
And I suppose you never stop learning. Like, doesn't matter how old you are, you're always learning.
No. And actually, and my wife can testify to this. This Alvin Lee thing, I sat down and it took me a week to learn it. It was a real challenge. And then things like classical gas, which I decided to learn the other day. And I'm loving it. I'm 56. And I'm learning to play stuff that I hadn't got around to. But it's just great.
It's never too late.
No.
Oh, that's great, Chris. We might move on to the song you've got tonight for us, which you mentioned, ukulele, was it?
Yes, there is a story to the song.
Yeah.
I should have probably played on the ukulele, but my son Joshua, who I should throw in just in case you listen to this, is by far the most remarkable musician I've ever played with. He showed up with the ukulele one day, so my dad thought, well, I better get one. And I went to Johnny Piccolo's shop, caught the ukulele, and was playing it and learning the chords on it, and come up with this nice little melody. And my wife was in the laundry doing the washing, so I sort of started singing to her and ended up chasing around the house just playing this nice little ditty to her. And so it sort of stuck in my head, and it's just a nice, cute little song.
Excellent. Well, we might wind it up there, Chris. Thanks a lot for coming in. Really appreciate it. I've been waiting to get you in, and
been good.
You've definitely stood up to everything I thought you were going to do tonight. And I'd like to just thank everybody else that's been supporting the show out there. And we've also got a few suggestions from a few of you people of some ideas for future shows, so I appreciate that. And we're looking at getting in some touring acts, grabbing them on the way through Bendigo, and doing some Skype interviews too. So that'll be interesting for as well as supporting the local musos. People, can watch their heroes, I suppose, and see how they started into music. So,
but I think what you're doing is utilising all the technology we've got nowadays. And it's just fantastic. We didn't have it when you and I were kids.
No, that's right.
Well, that's why I love what you're doing. You're actually taking it to getting guys like me and else, and to actually get on the World Wide Web, and people can share it. It's just lovely.
And it's there forever, mate, too.
Well, it is. It is, until they invent something else.
That's right, until someone blows it up.
The universal wide web.
Yeah. So, Chris, could you, I'll just get you to introduce your song, and we'll wind up the show there tonight, and take it away.
I'll try and do a Molly Meldrum or something. This is me singing a song I wrote for my wife called You Know That I Love You. And take it away, Chris.
You know that I love you. Oh yes, I love you. It keeps getting better, better and better every day. You know that I miss you. I miss being with you. I don't like leaving. No, I don't like being away. Oh, my darling, my love for you just grows. Oh, my darling, I know that you love me. You like being with me, and that makes me happy. That makes me happy. I'm your man. Doodle-doo-doo-doo. Doodle-doo-doo-doo.
If you'd like to stay connected with MuzoHub, don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube, like us on Facebook, or follow us on Twitter.